join the fun. Let's learn and make under the sun. With resin in our hands, let's pour away.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel Custom Carving and Epoxy UK. And this is going to be another interesting one, hopefully. It's going to be another bloom, and it's going to be Rylee's bloom take 2, because I don't know if you remember, but in that auction we had 2 bids. So the first one was Laura's, which turned out absolutely beautiful, which was black and white was requested for that one. And I think you'll agree, it came out really cool. But somebody else, I think it was Tammy from Epoxy That, and Renee from Heart Creations by Renee, both bid 120 for a custom bloom. They went halves on one, and it was for a great cause. So this was $120. So I need to make sure I get a good bloom. I've spoken to Renee, and she's told me that she loves purples and blues. So I've got some creating bloom paste, because I know that at the minute, not many people in the States have got these. So I've got Delphinium, I've got Seashore, which is a pale blue, and I've got Blackberry, which is a really, really rich, deep purple. And I'm going to try and fit all 3 of those in a bloom, and then I've got an idea for a dark blue backing, and hopefully that's what she meant. But also, I'm going to experiment a bit. So I know I'm going to have a lot of this left over. Whenever you do a bloom, you only need a tiny bit in there. But I wanted to experiment with a different technique as well. So I'm going to try that in this same video. So if that's what you're interested in, you're in the right place. As always, I've poured my resin. I've done about 6 ounces this time because, as I said, I'm trying to get both done. And I think that takes about 5 ounces. That takes 2 ounces. So hopefully we'll have enough to do both of those and then add it back. So just going to check the temperature. 27.8 on the surface. 26.2. So we're still a little way off. So I'm going to wait until this gets to 34, because that's where it worked really well in the last one. And we're going to try and create Rylee's bloom take 2 for Tammy from Epoxy That, and for Renee from Heart Creations by Renee. So I'll see you when the resin's up to temperature, and we're going to pour these blooms. Don't forget though, if you like my content, 81% of you don't subscribe. If you all subscribed, we would grow 10 times quicker. So do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. The QR code's there if you're watching on your TV, and put something in comments, let me know if you're liking what I'm doing. So I'll see you when the resin is up to temperature. And we're back. And temperature-wise, we're nearly there. We're at 33. I want it to be at about 34 because that worked really well. But don't forget, if you want any of these pigments, get over to creatingbloom.com. She has some amazing colours, and they work really well for me in any resin that I've done, if I'm being honest. But also, Tammy from Epoxy That said that she's happy for Renee to have the bloom, even though they went halves on it. So I'm hoping I can ship this experimental piece that I'm going to do at the same time, and that way Renee has got something to pass on to Tammy from Epoxy That, because I wanted them both to have something, because it was amazing that they bid it all the way up to $120. So let's get on with it, I think, and let's see what happens. So 34 degrees pretty much, and the base is about 32. So what you've got to remember, whenever you're checking your temperature, your surface is always going to be, in a deep container like this, a little bit warmer than your base. So as I say, this is about 34 there, but it means on the base only 32. So what I do is I leave it in the cup whilst I mix my colours, and that tends to make sure that everything's sort of an even temperature. And I'm only half filling these pots, and then we're going to mix up the colours, but I'm going to leave the rest of the resin in the cup. And we're going to see what happens. I'm also expecting a postman to arrive at any point to collect 5 parcels that are going across to the States. And I tell you what, I need to find a way to find cheaper shipping, because for 5 small packages or parcels, whatever you want to call them, it ended up costing me £54. And when I finish with these 2 pieces shipping out, it's going to cost me about 85 quid in postage. Thank God it's going to a good cause. So here we go. Let's mix up these colours first of all. I'm going to use just a cocktail stick, I think, because it's not going to take a lot. First one I'm going to do is the deep purple, which is this blackberry. and it is a lovely, lovely, rich purple. So I'm just going to pour around my cocktail stick, take off whatever's on there, the excess, and that's all I'm going to use. And that can go straight into the resin and hopefully create our first colour, which is going to be blackberry. And look at that, it does not take a lot. Look at how opaque these pastes are. Literally, you saw I scraped virtually everything off and I'm left with this lovely deep dark purple. So Renee, I hope you like the colour. This is going to be the first colour. So I'm just going to continue just making sure it's all thoroughly mixed and we've got one even colour. But look, that was just what was left on my cocktail stick and we've got that beautiful, rich, deep purple. So that can go straight in there. And I need to find a drip mould actually to stack these in whilst I'm doing the rest. Hang on 1 second. Have I got one just lying around? Yes, I have. And this is the problem when you have such a small workspace. It's actually finding room to do things. So let's go for another one of these pots as a drip mould, I think. And all I'm going to do is just literally leave the pot upside down so that none of that resin is wasted, and it all will hopefully go into another piece. Because whenever you're mixing resin, whenever you're using pigments that are quite special like these, the last thing you want to do is waste any. So I'm just going to wipe off my stick. That is the first colour then. We have the blackberry. And we should be okay for time. Next one I'm going to go in with is the lighter purple, which is this delphinium. Exactly the same process, just mixing it round, scraping it off, and whatever's left on my cocktail stick should be enough to give us that bloom. And you don't want it too heavy. That's the key. So again, I've been playing around with these pigments, trying to get the right consistency so it's not too heavy. And you're going to have to play when you're playing with a new pigment, just to make sure you can get that right consistency. But look at that, that's like a beautiful sort of lavender colour. Almost the same colour as the coaster mould. So we've got a dark purple, we've got a light purple, and then I'm going to do a light blue. And the plan is here is if this works, I'm going to do a slightly darker, maybe a metallic blue back on it. Hopefully. But as we all know with blooms, nothing is guaranteed, unfortunately. You could do the same process 10 times, it could work 5 times, and then not work another 5 times. So just putting that one now onto the drip mould, as it were. Trying not to get it everywhere. And I've just noticed actually there's something that has floated into my mould, and I don't want that, especially not for this piece. I want it to be special, and anything that's in there can come out. So make sure your moulds are clean as well, guys. Especially if you're doing something like this, because you don't want something little going in that's going to ruin the surface of that piece. Because don't forget, the base of your mould is going to be the top. And then the last colour is this seashore, which is a lovely light, almost baby blue. Look at that. So again, exactly the same process, just going round, giving it a stir, scraping off the excess, and that will do. It is as simple as that for the colours. And you don't need a lot with these pigment pastes, and I think that's where I've gone wrong a couple of times in the past. I've made my pigments a little bit too heavy. But let me know what you think is going to happen in comments. Let me know if you think we're going to get a nice bloom or not. There's only one way to find out, and that is to stay tuned until the end. Here we go. So that's that lovely seashore. And it does kind of remind me of what I would picture in my head, the ocean, if the blues and the whites mix together. So maybe that's why it's called seashore. I don't know. There we go. So just getting these out of the way because I don't want to make a mess, believe it or not. And you watch, any second now, the doorbell's going to go and the postman will arrive. So I'm just moving this to one side a little bit, and then I'm going to move this aside as well. So next stage is to just get some resin in both of these. So I want a very thin piece, just in this one, because this is going to be for the spare. And so I don't know if this is going to work or not, but it's just something, it's been going around my head. I thought I wanted to try. So, but the majority of this is going straight in here for this beautiful coaster. And I may have made this one a bit thinner actually, guys. We'll see. So again, not too fussed. The rest can just stay upside down in that for now. It's just making sure that I've not got any bubbles. So again, using your silicone tool, just go around the edges. It encourages any bubbles that are there to just come up to the surface. And I don't think I can see any on the base, so that's good. I've used this mould a few times now, and that really helps with bubbles. I say a few times, it's probably about 20, 30 times. So. And then I'm going to get my bags ready, because we're going to go, I think, from dark to light is the plan. So all you do is you get your bags, and try not to do it over your mould in case there is any dust or anything. Grab the end, squeeze like that, and then twist. And I found a lot more success since I've started piping blooms. There we go. So that's one ready. Just going to twist it round, put it back in there for now. Just want these all ready to go roughly at the same time. And this is the other thing I hate about having such a small workspace. I'm having to do most of this over my actual piece, which is not good, because you tend to find if anything's going to go wrong and drop or dust or mica or anything, it will go straight into your resin. So I need to figure out a way to give myself a bit more room, I think. And then this is that final seashore. And let me know in comments, do you think this is going to work? I'm pretty confident the main bloom will work. It's whether this experimental one's going to work. And the only reason I came up with that idea is A, I wanted Tammy to have something, even though she said send it to Renee, because she was part of that bidding process and they went halves on it. And B, I wanted to experiment a slightly different technique. So again, we'll see if it works. I don't know at this point. What I'm going to do though is quickly scrape my cup so any of that spare resin is in that mould. Beautiful. And if you've not watched it yet, go back and watch this, the way that I created this coaster mould. It took me 7 attempts to get it right, but we got there in the end. So with this one, all I'm doing at the side is just moving that resin so I know that there's been a thin coat in each bit of this mould, and hopefully it will self-level out whilst I'm concentrating on the main bloom. And as I say, I'm going to try a very different technique with this one, which may work and it may not, but we'll see. There we go. Now there's still a few bubbles in the base of that one. Seems to attract more bubbles actually than my homemade mould. So again, I'm just going to surface, torch it, get rid of those bubbles. But I want to get on with the main bloom now, because that is going to be the centerpiece. That's the main thing what they've bid on, and I want it to come out perfect. Whether it will or not, I don't know. So I'm just wiping off my cocktail stick so it's ready for next time. Then I'm going to get a wipe and just get it ready. And we're going to go straight for it. So I'm going to start off with the darkest colour first. And all you want to do, you'll see there's a little air bubble, is snip it off there. Helps if you've got some sharp scissors for this as well, guys. Which normally I resin mine together, so they don't tend to stay very sharp. Here we go. So this is that blackberry, and I'm going to go straight for it, straight in the centre. And if you saw that, it's naturally just dripping out the bag. And as I say, I'm going to try and get all 3 of these beautiful colours in to this one bloom. Just take your time and create that spiral. And don't forget, all the time your resin will be pulling in anyway. So I try and get as close to the edge as possible. Right, that's all I need for now from that one. Next I'm going to go in with the, in fact no, I'm going to go in with the blue one, the seashore next. And we're not done with these yet. It's just, here we go. And that's coming out as well. Seems to be a little bit thicker, but it should still work. So again, in we go with this seashore. And it's already trying to bloom, which is good. It's a great sign that we got the temperature right. And when you're doing a bloom, just remember it doesn't have to be perfect, because how many blooms do you see in nature with perfect petals? Not many, I hazard to guess. And again, just going all the way around that edge. And I'm happy with that. So that is the blue. And then the next is going to be the delphinium, which is that lighter purple. So 3 colours, 1 bloom. Oops, I've done that a little bit thick, just because my scissors aren't sharp, which is not good. But here we go. We're going to have more of this than I expected, but I want all 3 colours in, and obviously they're going to all intermix a little bit now. There we go. So that is that. Now for this one at the side, I'm just going to play. So literally, in fact, I'm going to pour my pattern in first. So let's draw these petals in. And literally, usual technique, into that centre. I've not put a centre in this one either, guys. Now I know some of you like stuff in the centres. Some of you don't. This one, I don't know why. I just felt like it didn't need one with these 3 different colours. Maybe it was the right choice. We won't know until we demold at this point. So that I'm pretty happy with. I'm not going to pull them out either, because I like the way the petals tend to form without me pulling them out. So this one on the side, now this is where we're going to get messy. So I'm just going to pour around the edges of this mould. But I just want to see what colours and what effect we will get just by doing this and then adding a back. For those of you that struggle with blooms, I thought it might be an easier idea if it works. There we go. And then I am going to pull out on these, just like so, into the centre of these. And I just thought it might give us something completely different to what we get in a traditional bloom. And then, do I go out to the sides? I will, from the centre like that. And again, it's just having fun with your resin and seeing what it creates, if anything. This already looks a little bit mesmerising to me. And it's something that I've been toying around with in my head, but not done yet. And it's just trying something different to see what it creates. And for me, that's part of the beauty of resin, is when you just have fun. So I'm going to leave that. That looks like it's blooming lovely. That looks gorgeous as well. So the rest of these, as I say, I'm just going to pour them straight into a drip mould. And then we're going to come back in about 4 or 5 hours when hopefully we can put a back on these and finish them off. But any drips, as always, can go into a drip mould. So I'll see you guys when we're ready to put the backs on, hopefully in a few hours. See you then. So we're back, and it has been around about 4 hours. So this is probably cured enough to touch, but I don't want to touch it just in case. And Renee said to me that she really likes blues. And don't forget, if you're watching this back, please follow Renee over at Renee's Hot Creations, or Hot Creations by Renee. Sorry, I always get that mixed up. And also Tammy from Epoxy that as well. both absolutely wonderful artists. So I got to thinking, what am I going to put in this? And she likes blues, she likes purple. So I think we've got the purples in that bloom. And I've got this beautiful metallic resin art pigment paste that I got from Temu, of all places. But it's one that I really like, and it is quite a dark back. So I think it should help this pop. So again, just mixing it round with a cocktail stick. Whatever's left on my stick will work. And you don't need a lot. But I do want to mix it round so that it all mixes round, and I'm not going to get any solid clumps or anything like that. And it is starting to solidify, but I've had this for about probably 8 months, to be honest. So that is going to be the backing for this bloom. And don't forget, if you're liking any of my content as well, do me a favour, like and subscribe to the channel. And if you can, join memberships. It's a brilliant way to help the channel out. And hopefully, if you're finding these videos useful or learning anything from them, you'll be happy to do that. So as you can see, this is a really deep, dark blue. And I thought that that would just set these blooms off wonderfully. But look at it. It's got a metallic element. So hopefully Renee's going to love it. I don't know. We'll see. And again, just going back to subscribing, it might surprise you, but 81% of you don't. So if you all subscribed, we would grow this channel so much quicker and all grow together more. And don't forget, we do those lives on a Tuesday as well. So we've always got a new resin artist on those lives where we find out about their journey. So this is dead straightforward. All I'm going to do is pour this beautiful metallic blue, and I think it should be enough. All of it can go in there, and that can create our back for this bloom. And I'm hoping it turns out well, but I don't know at this point. It's one of those things. I don't know if the blooms worked for a start, and you never know until you demold. So we're going to come back tomorrow when this is hopefully fully cured, and we're going to demold. And I've still got some spare in there, so that can go into a drip mold at the side. As always, never waste your resin. And then I'm just going to wipe the stick, and guess what? We can use that again next time. So we're going to demold this tomorrow. Hopefully we're going to get a great result. I don't know at this point. What do you think? Let me know in comments, and hopefully it's going to be amazing because it's going out to Renee. It's going to be posted out to the States. And I love the fact that more of my art is going into the States now. So it's an amazing thought that people in the States are loving my art. So thank you all. And we're going to come back tomorrow and demold. Hey guys, and it is the next day, and I'm so excited for this. I really hope it's turned out for Renee over at Heart Creations by Renee and Tammy at Epoxy Me That. So let's have a look. And don't forget, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. 82% of you don't who watch these videos. And if you did, it would make such a difference to the channel. So please just hit that subscribe button. Or if you can, do me a favor and join memberships. For the cost of a coffee, it's a great way to support the channel. But I really hope this has turned out, with the fact that obviously between them, they bid $120 for this piece. So here we go. Loving the back. It's beautiful with that metallic blue. Nope, it hasn't gone to plan this time. So I'm going to redo it. Just shows you that not every bloom works out. And I want to make sure that this is perfect. So I am going to redo this. It's a little bit heavy in the center. Not too happy with that one. So I'm going to redo it. So I'll see you guys in a sec. We are back, and I want to make sure that this one's a success, simply because Renee and Tammy over at Epoxy Me That and Heart Creations by Renee bid such a decent amount to raise money for Rylee, to hopefully get her to the finals, and I want it to be perfect. Now, some of you may think this is still pretty. I still think it's pretty, but that heaviness in the center I didn't like. So I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I want to redo it just to make sure that it's exactly the way I wanted. So we're at 35.4, or pretty much 36 degrees. I'm going to go with it. And I've reread the email that I got from Renee as to what her favorite colors were. And she actually put turquoise and purples, which That first one wasn't, so I'm going to have a bit of a play with the colours again. So I've got my homemade mould, which I'm going to be using because I love the effect. And we're just going to go for it. So I'm going to pour about half a cup in each of these. Maybe a little bit more, because if I've got any extras, which I normally do, I'm going to do another one as well. Here we go. So that's for my 2 colours that are going in. I'm going to leave the rest in there whilst I'm mixing the colours. So I thought to get a turquoise, I've got this Welsh slate colour from Creating Blue. And I've also got a nice green one, which is called Lacewing. Now, hopefully by mixing green and blue, we're going to get a turquoisey colour. I don't know. But I want to make sure that I'm not using too much pigment, because, again, that's where it can go heavy. So I'm going to use the Welsh slate first, and literally, watch this. Stir it round, just to make sure it's nicely mixed, and I'm scraping almost all of it off my cocktail stick. Whatever's left, I'm going to use. And I'm hoping that we get a turquoisey effect. I don't know. So this is the slate blue, which is a lovely blue colour. And as you can see, virtually no pigment went in there, but look at that colour already. Beautifully opaque, and I'm happy with that. So now I've stirred that one around, I'm just going to wipe off my stick to get off any of the excess pigment, because there will be some on there because it is so concentrated. It is amazing stuff. So there we go, just wiped off my stick. And I've not used this Lacewing green before, but it's almost like a grass green. I love it. I'm thinking I might use this in my summer collaboration coming up. So again, I'm scraping most of it off my stick. I don't want a lot on there because you don't need a lot. I'm not really trying to scrape it off, so there's virtually none left. And I don't know if this is going to work or not, but hopefully by mixing that green and blue, we get a different colour. So we have got a different colour. Not sure you'd call it turquoise though. So, I kind of like it still. It's unique. So what I'm going to do is I've got some alcohol ink by the side of me from Less Resin, which is actually turquoise. So I'm going to add some of that to it. 5 drops. And then we're going to see what colour this is. And if I like it, we're going to go with it. If not, I'm going to go again. So I'm just mixing the alcohol ink with it as well. I do like the colour, but it's more of a green now. What do you think? That's not really turquoise to me. That's gone more green. So I need something that's a bit more blue, I think. Have I got a blue by the side of me? No, that's still turquoise. Okay. Just going to get a darker blue. And I'm going to add a few drops to that. Give me 2 seconds. And I think a darker blue will hopefully give us the effect I'm looking for. Because I always thought green and blue made turquoise. Now, I could be getting this wrong, guys. Don't know. It's been a long time since I was at art class. But again, we're going to see. So I'm just getting my my inks out, and as always, the colour you want is probably in the bottom of the box. So I just want either the azure blue, I think, or the midnight blue is what I'm looking for here, because they are quite dark blues. So I've got a midnight blue there, and I think that's a really dark one. So hopefully by adding a couple of drops of this to that green, we're going to get a more turquoisey colour. 1, 2, 3. And I don't know how this is going to affect it when it goes into a bloom either. But this is just me playing with the colour, hopefully to get a more turquoisey effect. I want it to still be quite dark though. And it seems like the green is taking over. So let's see. Right, no, the green has really taken over. So we've got green. Green and purple by the looks of it. Now, do I use that? Do we think it's going to come out okay? I don't know. What I am going to do though is try something else. And that's just adding a couple of drops. I mean, I don't think the turquoise is particularly turquoisey. And I'm not an expert in mixing colours, so if you know how to make a beautiful turquoise, let me know. I don't think it's these pigments. I think it's my colour mixing skills and colours. But it's a different green that I haven't seen before. Got some alcohol ink in there, so it should spread nicely. I think I am going to add something else to it, though. I'm going to add some of this Galaxy Blue from Laura's Art Corner to it. Just a scoop. Just to give it a little bit of oomph as well. A bit of sparkle, shall we say. There we go. So it's now got some Galaxy Blue in it as well. And again, I don't want too much of this because it could, anything you add to it is going to make it heavier. Here we go. So there's that Galaxy Blue on the top. I'm just going to mix it around the whole thing. So we'll have a bit of a blue shimmer coming out, hopefully. And I've got to start getting a move on now because that resin is still warming up. So I don't know. We're going to see how this turns out. I've never mixed these colours before like this. So let's mix up that second colour, which is my favourite purple, which is Blackberry. So she's definitely going to get purple in the bloom. And what I'm going to do is after I've made this, I'm going to email her and just say, look, do you like it? If you don't, I'm happy to go again. And I love making blooms anyway, so it's not really a chore for me. And actually, it's quite fun to experiment with these different colours. And I am, do you know what? Because I've got my alcohol inks out, I'm going to add a drop of indigo to this as well, just so that they're both of a similar consistency. Now I've added quite a bit of that alcohol ink into the other one. I think whenever you're doing blooms, you want them to be the same consistency, whatever you're putting in, so that they spread in the right way. So just because I've got them out, I'm just going to add a drop of purple to it as well. So that they both had those pigment pastes in and the alcohol ink in. So hopefully the plan is they will spread the same way. And again, not a lot, just 3 drops. And it's mainly keeping that pigment colour, but it's just got a tinge of that purple. And I'm thinking a light backing for this if it works. And as I say, it's just because that first one, I wasn't happy with the blobbing. It was a bit heavy for me, which I don't want when somebody's bid $120 for one of my pieces. I want it to look the way I'd envisaged. So here we go. I'm going to put halfway in there, I think, pretty much. Happy with that. And then the rest of it, I've got another mould at the side of me, and I know I'm going to have spare. So I'm just pouring it in there. And I don't think there's going to be enough to do a bloom, but you never know. And sometimes some of your thin blooms work out to be your best. So I'm just going to pour these colours in now. That really isn't turquoise, it's green. So that lace wing really took over, I think, with those two colours competing. I thought it would work, it didn't. But it is what it is. We carry on. You know, that's the main thing in resin. Just keep going. You might get one of your best effects. And there is that purple, which is my favourite, I think, the Blackberry. And then we're just going to go for it. I'm just having a look now. I've got a couple of bubbles on there. So I'm going to sort those out with my silicone tool, get them to the surface. As always, go around the edge, which is where they like to hide. And then, as I say, I've got this spare one at the side where it's just collecting, ready to use up some of those spare pigment pastes. And I'm hoping, if I don't get a bloom effect, which I don't think I will, I think it's going to be too thin, to at least get a 2D bloom effect. And if you've not watched that, I'm going to be, well, you won't have watched it yet because I haven't released the video, but I'm going to be releasing a video shortly for those that struggle with the 3D bloom on how to get a 2D bloom effect, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to spread this around, making sure that it's covered all of that mould as well. And then I'm going to leave this to settle at the side. And who knows, we might get a 3D bloom effect in it, we might not. But before I waste any more time, I'm just going to scrape my cup, get out that excess that we've got in there. Give me a stick, it's easier. So I'm just going to always scrape your cup, because there's probably usually about 1/4 of an ounce, 1/2 ounce of resin, which you don't want to go to waste, you know. And if you just leave it in your cup, guess what? It goes to waste. So there we go, that's that. That can now go to one side. And the cups that I've just collected can go in there. And I'm trying to keep a tidier workstation. I hope you've noticed that on the videos. And now we're just going to go for it. But I know she likes turquoise. What do I do? Do I do an underwater bloom for Renee? I'm going to try it. I'm just going to drip some cerulean, which is one of my favourite blues from Let's Resin, and see if that gives us a bit of a look at that, and it's run out. Let me get another one. Why does nothing ever go right when you're filming? That is the question. Where's my cerulean? I've definitely got another one. And I'm sorry that the recording isn't that great, guys. As I'm looking for a spare cerulean, I've got a blue. Now she does like blues. Let's try blue. Let's mix in a bit of blue with it. And what I did last time is I added a couple of drops of lemon yellow to my underwater bloom, and it actually turned out amazing. So we're going to try that again. So there's that tiny bit of cerulean, very tiny. I'm going to add, always shake your alcohol inks as well before you use them. A couple of drops of this lemon yellow, say that after a few drinks, to the centre, and they can spread. You know, I'm going to do the same with this one. Just so we're going to combine alcohol ink and those mixtures I've just made the pastes with. And then I'm going to go around the edge with this blue, which is slightly darker. Not too much, but I want it to cover and hopefully give us those blues. And I don't know if this is going to work or not, but do you know what? If it doesn't work, we'll just go again until I'm happy with it. I just want to make sure that I've got all of that surface covered with this blue. So this is going to be a bit like, I don't know if you saw it, but I did an underwater bloom, which came out, I think, really well. You may disagree. And a bit more, because I've got a yellow where I don't want it there. And just make sure you're happy before you go in with your paste. It's always a good idea to just let it settle for a second before you carry on. There we go. Happy with that. That's pretty much covered most of it. In fact, you can see it's already pulling in. But we're just going to go for it now and see what we get. You know, hopefully we'll get a bit of a difference of colours, and hopefully it'll give us a bit of, in fact, what I'm going to do, where's my silicone tool? You can see when I do my blooms, I just go a little bit crazy. Just going to mix those around like that to make sure we've got that blue going all the way to the edge, like so. And then really just mixing it around, giving us that beautiful effect. I'm happy with that. I'm not playing with it anymore. So we're going to go in with the purple first. And the exciting thing is for this, I genuinely will not know what this is going to turn out like until you do tomorrow. Helps if you have sharp scissors, which these aren't. Just to snip off that end. And I don't mind that little bit of transparency you can see in the centre. In fact, I think it's actually going to help. And always remember to wipe your scissors when you're done with a project as well, guys. Otherwise you won't be able to use them again. So here we go. Straight into the centre. And I'm just going to go around. Again, using that beautiful spiral technique. And I'm intrigued, and I'm hoping you are, as to what this one's going to turn out like. I think I'm either going to love it or I'm going to hate it. So there's that one. I didn't mean to just dip it then, but I did. But shouldn't hopefully cause any damage. And then we've got this green. And I'm not a fan of green usually, but hopefully the blue alcohol ink that I've put in there will just tone it down a little so it's manageable. I may have gone a little bit light with that purple, but we'll find out. These scissors I've got are absolutely useless. I'm going to sharpen these or use a different pair altogether. I think they're actually child safety scissors. There we go, that's better. And as you can see, it's automatically just flowing out by itself, which is what you want, because it tells me that it's roughly at the right temperature. Again, I've not put a centre in this. And I'm just trying to keep it between where I've gone with the purple. And again, I might not like this one, but I'm not the customer, so I'm going to send a picture of it when it's done to Renee, and she can decide. And I'm more than happy to go again and create another. There we go, so I'm happy with that. Just going to put that in the side pot for now whilst we draw in the petals on this one. And as always, that's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to pull in using that clock technique. And it's going to be really interesting, this, as to what effects we get. And I can see that galaxy blue coming through now it's poured. And always try and wipe your stick in between, otherwise you get a lot in that centre, which makes your bloom slightly heavier. I'm happy with that. What do you think? Should I give it a quick stir? Some people like the stir in the centre, others don't. I do, so I'm just going to stir it around a tiny bit. There we go. And now I'm going to leave that one to do its thing, but this one on the side, we've still got plenty of that pigment paste left. So I'm going to do the same in this one and see what we get. But this one's a bit trickier with the shape of the mould. So I'm just going to go around the edges first, he says, if the resin wants to actually start to come out again. Here we go. It's coming. I'm going to try and get it to follow that pattern around the edge, ideally without touching the outside of the mould. And this is really having fun with your resin. You know, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if we're going to get a result or not. But we are going to find out. And that's a tiny bit heavy there, so I'm just going to use my tool and move that across that bit, because I don't want plobbing. And now I'm going to go around with the green. And let me know what you think is going to happen in comments, guys. Let me know if you like these crazy little experiments or not. And as always, oh, now we're going all over the place. So we had a bit of a misflow there. There we go. Back with the purple, which is trying to come out the back of my piping bag now, which I don't want. Oh, if anything can go wrong on a resin video, you can normally guarantee it will on this channel. And don't forget, check out Create and Bloom as well for some of these pastes. Check out Laura's Art Corner as well. Amazing products from both of them that I try and use almost in every piece. And this is going to be intriguing, I think, is the word I'm going to use. And look at this. This is what happens. It starts to come out the back unless you keep that clearly defined space at the front. Come on. Again, I think that's a little bit heavy, but we've got to continue now. We've started. And I don't know. It could create one of the best blooms you've ever seen, or it could just create a disaster. Now that's really heavy where that's come out, so I'm not holding up too much hope. But again, with that one, I'm just going to pull into the center, like so. Wiping my stick in between. And we're going to see if it creates any different effect. So there we go. They're all pulled into the center. Now with this one, I'm going to pull back out to the center of each petal as well. Just see if we get a slightly different effect. And it will help pull out that big blob. Here we go. And then just at the tips of these, I think it'd be quite cool to just pull those out a little. And I don't know if this is going to work, but it's just having a bit of fun. And as always, like and subscribe to the channel, join membership if you can. It's a great way to support us, and thank you to all of those members and all of those subscribers so far. You are amazing. You are what keep us going. You are what keeps this channel growing. So appreciate you all. Now we're going to come back in about 4 or 5 hours. Hopefully these will have both bloomed and we'll have an interesting effect to put it back on. Right guys, and we're back, and I've just mixed up some resin to put it back on these. It's been about 4 hours, and I think with this being so dark, I'm going to try a light backing. I've got this metallic resin paste that I got from Temu a while ago, but you know what? I like it. It gives a nice glittery metallic white texture. So I'm going to just get a decent amount of that on my end of my stick, and hopefully that's going to be enough to just colour this resin. And then, me being me, you know, I'm going to add something else to it. So, again, just mixing it around. Try not to add in any more bubbles now I've mixed it. And it's gone through the debubbler. So, it's just a case of making sure that it's all mixed through. And look at that. It's almost pearl. Look at this, metallic. And I just thought this might emphasize the darkness in those petals if it's worked. So, just to add something else to it, I've got some of this holographic laser glitter as well. And I'm just going to add some of that in. I'm not going to measure it. In fact, I will measure it just because we're doing it on camera. So I think for this amount, I'm going to do 3 scoops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because as we all know, glitter is life. And is this going to work or not? And I'm hoping I've got enough here to completely fill my drip mold as well that I've got at the side, which is looking pretty cool. That's my favourite drip mould at the minute, because hopefully I'm going to gradually get all of my succulents into those bigger pots from the tiny ones you get from IKEA. So again, just mixing the glitter around, make sure it's thoroughly mixed, and I just hope I've got enough here. I think I should have. So it's almost gone silvery pearl now. Look at that. Beautiful. And hopefully we've got a bloom, but we won't know until tomorrow. And that's the downside of blooms. But you know what? If we haven't, I'm going to go again. I want to get this perfect for Renee and Tammy, because I really appreciate what they were trying to do and raising that money, obviously, for Rylee to get to the twirling finals. So here we go. Happy with that. Now I'm going to fill in the back of this one as well. Again, doesn't need to be a thick coat, but just enough to cover the back. Here we go. I think that should be enough once it all spreads out. And then I've got a tiny bit left, which can go in here. And I don't think it is going to be enough to fill this drip mould. I should have mixed up another ounce. But hey ho, there is always the next project to fill your drip mould. Don't feel like you have to fill them just to demold them. I'm sure I'm going to have spare resin in my next project, which will just add to this. So all I'm going to do is use my stick, scrape whatever's left into that drip mould, and it's certainly not going to be enough. So that's it for this stage, and I'll see you all tomorrow for demold. And let's pray that this bloom's worked out, Renee likes it and Tammy likes it, and I can get it shipped off to the States. If not, we're going to go again. See you all soon. Don't forget, like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you at demold. So here we go, guys, and it's the next day, and I'm so excited for these. I mean, look at that back. Beautiful on its own. But this is Rylee's Bloom take 3, actually, not take 2. And I'm really hoping that this one has worked out in particular, so I can get it shipped out to Renee over at Heart Creations by Renee and Tammy over at Epoxy that. And hopefully they've worked out. I don't know. I'm just praying that they have, because if not, I'm going to do it again. You know, I've got to get this right. And I've got a turquoise on order at the minute, because I wasn't happy with that colour that I made, with the fact that Renee said she wants turquoise in it. So we're going to do the smaller one first. It's still slightly flexible, but it should be demoldable. Here we go. And that's different. I'm not sure. I'm still not sure. I can see the glitter coming through as well, which I actually really like. From the back. But let me know what you think to that. That's more green, and I'm not a big fan of green, but actually I don't mind it with the blackberry. So that's that one. Again, not perfect though, not perfect. So I'm just hoping we have a better result with this one. I think we're going to have the same colours, which is not exactly what I was going for. So I have a feeling I'm going to be pouring this again. And this is what I mean. When you're doing something special for somebody else, you want to get it right. And that's what you don't see. So when people are charging, I don't know, for a coast like this, I would probably say 30, 40 pounds is fair, because it's thick, it's detailed, it's got a technique in it, which can go wrong. This is already my second attempt, and we're going to go on to a third, you know, just to get it right. And that's where I think artists can charge a higher premium, because you don't see all of the attempts that they've made that haven't worked, you know? And I think that's where it's justified. But let's just look at this back. I mean, stunning. And here we go. But before I do that, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. It's free. It helps us grow. And if you can help us out further, then join memberships. And here we go. Well, again, I like it. I do like it, but it's not exactly what I was going for. I like the fact that the blue ink is slightly showing in some areas and not others. And I like that textured effect we've created with this very different 3D bloom. But I don't think it was what Renee had in her mind when she sent me a perfect bloom as a suggestion with purples and turquoise. So I've got a turquoise on order, and I love this back. I think the backs come out stunning. But I've got some turquoise on order. When that comes, we're going to go again for Rylee's Bloom, take 4, I think this will be, to get it right, because I do want it right, because as I say, it's a special piece. So I'll see you guys again in a minute. And sorry this is a longer video, but I wanted to show you the processes of getting something special right. So I'll see you in a sec.
We all grow together, join the fun.